You fought for that, right?
Yeah.
You picked them as much as they picked you.
Yeah, that's for sure. I think the something I learned about even just the recruiting scene in general when it comes to lacrosse is that you got to be so proactive coming from the West Coast, coming from California, non-hotbed, where, yeah, I think I talked my way into that school and opportunity more than they recruited me, which is kind of how it's got to work sometimes. But just to give a little bit more of a backstory on just how that worked. So the whole lacrosse recruiting landscape is essentially happening on the East Coast in Canada for all high school. I was in a weird time also when recruiting was happening in 8th grade. So people were committing to the top schools for very, very early bloomers. And that didn't really play into my cards too well, just because I was more of a consistent workhorse kind of mentality. I wasn't really going to stick out as like an 8th grader freshman year of like, this kid's going to jump off the page at you right away. So I think that kind of hurt me in the recruiting landscape. But yeah, I spent my summers freshman to senior year on the East Coast, just traveling up and down, doing a tournament in Baltimore, then a tournament in like Philly, then a tournament down in DC. And then it was just a lot of travel, a lot of trying to get in front of coaches, because they're not going to come out to the West Coast. They're not going to watch you when they have anyone that they can get in their backyard. You got to find a way to get into their backyard.
Got it.
It was just trying for me to get myself in front of them as much as possible. I credit to my parents for going on those trips with me and funding all of that, because that was not an easy time, I'm sure, for them to be trying to juggle work and everything, but also trying to help me chase my dreams of playing in college. So that's a whole different side of it as well, where me being proactive, but they were also fully supportive in that process too.
And you were a midi in high school.
Yeah. So I was an offensive midi in high school, and then once Richmond got me, they're like, you're playing defensive midi. So a little bit of a transition, but I was okay with it. I fully leaned into it.
And your coach said nobody watched more game film than you. Like, you were the guy that every week you were watching more and more film. What were you trying to accomplish by learning to be a midi? Like, it's not like you want to. I mean, there's pro lacrosse, but but you were putting the hours in just to be the best you could possibly be.